And please keep it going for Kathleen Auterio.
It was a typical night in Boston, 95 degrees, 95% humidity, no chance of breeze. My friend and I walked to a payphone, and we saw two guys from high school. We gave them cigarettes. They weren't really our friends because they didn't listen to heavy metal. We heard a loud noise, like an explosion. And so I said to my friend, let's get out of here. We headed towards my house. And then we were surrounded by police. I mean, more than 4 cars, guns at our heads. There could have been a helicopter. I mean, this was like TV. And look, I have friends and family on the force, but Boston area police, not known for their moderation. And this was over the top for them. So my bail was set for breaking and entering nighttime with grand larceny, a felony holding 5 to 10 years in prison. And this is when I fully realized the United States can make up anything they want and charge you with it. My lawyer said that I should plead. And this is because the United States jury system does not have enough room for every American to have a jury trial. That's why they want you to plead guilty to things you didn't do, because they don't want you to overload the system. So they threaten you with huge sentences and ask you to plead guilty and get community service for 2 years. And so I yelled, "I am an American. I want my jury trial." I got my jury trial. So I take the stand, and I could have turned down the punk rock a little here. I get on the stand, and I want to affirm, which is alternative to putting your hand on a Bible. And in Massachusetts, this is like volunteering to be burned at a stake. So the DA comes forward, and he says, "Well, the crime scene," and he's pointing to this picture behind me, and I look at it, and it's my neighborhood, really. And I say, "This is all wrong," and I just erase the whole thing, and I redraw it. And he says, "So you were at the crime scene?" And I said, I've lived here since I was born. And the officer who drew it basically left out everything that had been built since I was born, including a massive parking structure, which would have obscured all the things I could have seen when the something happened. So I basically discredited his whole report, since the massive parking structure did in fact exist. So, I just buried this guy. But then one of the guys takes the stand, and it was awful. He gets up, and he smells of the 3 Bs, Budweiser, bong water, and bad decisions. He goes on about the day, and he says he stole a bike, he stole a bunch of beer, and he was riding the bike, and he says, "This huge problem has to be solved. Why can't you ride a stolen bike and keep beer in your pockets?" And he leans over to the judge like they're in a secret club, and he says, "You know what I mean." The judge just looks at him and says, "No, I don't." So then the DA comes over and says, "You said you stole a bike. Did you ever steal anything else?" Now, taking the oath seriously, he says, "Oh yeah, I steal shit all the time." The arresting officer takes the stand, and now I guess he didn't want his little drawing erased so much, and he tries to make me look more guilty. And the judge just says, "Stop, read your own report." And he says, we see these guys twice a month. They break into everything, but their high-priced lawyers get them off, even when this one gets on the stand and says, "I steal everything." But this time we had them on a felony. No, and you arrest these 2 girls who I've never seen for using a payphone. So once again, I have to say, case dismissed. Now, after this time, I really I just was a nerd. I was that person who hung out in the library and read too much. And I was scared. Like, I was young. It was scary to go up against 5 to 10 years in jail and say, I want a jury trial. But I realized millions of people don't even know you can do this. And so ever since then, I've joined endless groups to try to let people know about this extremely flawed system that steals lives and even ends them. Thank you.